question, my follow-up question is, do we have an expert setting up those situational interview question or the situation itself, scenarios, and see if they react in a way from an expert lens, rather than just, again, I think this area requires expert point of view. Last meeting, I think, the community asked for detail on the security plan, and we said we cannot jeopardize the security, which is okay. I went and did a research on the New Jersey Safety and Security Manual, published by the New Jersey Department of Education. There are some component of the plan require communication with emergency responser, staff, student data, such as identifying and document crisis communication procedure with the following rules, which I mentioned first. So maybe we can share certain portion of the plan that is required regardless for the New Jersey Department of Education. So that's a couple points. I would like to also add a couple comment about the sign-up sheet. Some people like to, they come in here, thinking they're not gonna talk, and they don't sign up. And then when we hear the update, we like to do now, I have a question, I have a follow-up. But because we did not sign up, we don't get the opportunity to speak. So I'm recommending two options: either we leave the sign-up sheet until the public, comments section is open, so we have a chance after we hear the update, or we can just open it after the sign-up, everyone on the sign-up sheet has spoken. So that's two options, obviously, it's up to you. So, I spoke a lot here, so I wonder if there's any, response to my
Well,
question.
I'll start, your last question regarding the sign up, I will certainly get back to you on that. Point well taken. And the second question about having a professional with the scenarios, the answer is yes. And I will defer to Mr. Russell for the other two.
So, as far as, I'll go with your first question, which was, referendum in the short term. So the committee has been discussing some short-term solutions. We've talked about an array of different options, which some of those options range from trailers, which have been brought up here in this forum, was brought up in our referendum committee meeting as well. We looked at scheduling. We have looked at utilizing other additional spaces within our building. So once the community forum or committee comes up with some recommendations, we'll be able to expand a little bit more upon those pieces. But I will share that looking at that, I'll give you another scenario. We even looked at redistricting. We're not a large district, so shifting that line back and forth is really not going to give us a lot of space. But there are some short-term pieces that we can utilize and look at where when we look at the hilltop itself. We've also investigated the idea of looking at better meeting, even our large community meeting, and even thinking about can we place people back at the high school, moving, shifting grades around for short-term solutions. So we've been exploring a lot of those pieces. Some of them, to be quite honest with you, were not viable even for a short-term solution. So we're giving a lot of thought to that. The ultimate goal is, when we look at this, and we've talked a lot about this during our committee meetings, is that whatever decision is made, that decision, whether it's short-term and long-term, it has to be sustainable over a large period of time. We cannot come back to the table again multiple years later and say, hey folks, we need to do this now. So it has to be something that we can sustain for a long period of time. And part of what we've been looking at is what have been some of the error of our ways from 10, 20, 30 years ago. We're facing a very different issue and problem right now at this particular moment in time. So we want to take that head on. I'm very confident with the group that we've all been working with together. Like I said, they're very insightful. There's a large team of educators on there who understand the field, understand the progression of enrollment, as well as contractors as well who are on that committee. So we've got some very, very knowledgeable people who are working very, very hard. And I look forward to presenting that to the board as we move forward. As far as security goes, you know, President Dore had actually just shared that, I'm very impressed with our group that we have here. Again, like I've shared, we have educators, on that group, as well as current and, previous or retired law enforcement. We are relying heavily on our retired and our, current law enforcement members to help provide us with scenarios, and as well as educators. And, you know, those, administrators and teachers who are in the building face that issue every day, so it's very different with what you would face in a hospital or a corporate setting compared to what you would face with dealing with the lives of young children every day. So getting their perspective as well as law enforcement is very helpful for us to set expectations for our recommendations to the board on who will hold those positions here in this district. Because like I said, it has to be the right fit for Cedar Grove. It's not a blanketed person that has been in law enforcement, previously in law enforcement, because the way may handle a situation in a different community may not be the way we handle it in our community. And what our expectations are, maybe our expectations are a lot higher. So we want to be very, very clear with that, relay that to our candidates, and I'm very appreciative of that with the panel that we have. And as far as the security plan, I know you took up the emergency response to the public. There are certain things in there that you are getting that are part of the security plan every time. So for example, if Mr. Matty was calling a lockdown or a fire drill, there's state law on announcing when you had it, how you conduct it. So those are the pieces that we can relay to the public. But again, like we shared last time, there are certain pieces that you can't, because it would jeopardize the safety and security of how we operate, the structure in which we operate. But those are types of things that we could definitely talk about. And I encourage you, if you ever want to sit down and talk about some of those things with me, please make a meeting, we can sit down together. I'm more than happy to do that with you.
One comment about the viable option, you know, for the short duration, you know, short-term solution. How are we combating that from a teacher perspective? Because then we want to bring up gun round, right? We want to make sure our teachers are safe, like Mr. Bellman has, you know, indicated, stated. We want to make sure that happens. So if I'm getting 23 students at South End versus 16, 18, you know, like I spoke the last time,
Right.
I mean, we really need to do something at least to help, you know, the student that's gonna feed into the same middle school and high school, because we don't want them to struggle, going into one, you know, the same level as those things, a blue ribbon stats. So that's one comment on the security guard. I'm not sure if we're at liberty to answer that question or not. Is, do we have adequate coverage? I think you mentioned, like, if you have, like, someone pull out, say,
Yes,
CTO.
I can answer that. We are preparing for that. Yes.
It's a must.
Yes, it's absolutely a must.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Mr.